Champagne's warm, Adams snaps, not looking up. Diana meets his gaze. I'll fix that, sir, and I'll need your voice lower. You're alarming other guests. Tonight is Diana Brooks's first shift. Borrowed vest. Apron knotted twice. A promise tucked behind her ribs. No one makes me small. The veteran's ghost past the Bernard booth, eyes down. Diana doesn't flinch. She squares her shoulders and walks. If you've ever seen kindness stand its ground, like and tell us where you're watching from. Because the night Adams Bernard met Diana Brooks didn't start at that table. It started years earlier, with a man who mistook fear for respect and a woman who learned that gentleness can carry iron. Rain hammered against the kitchen window of the Ember Room. Inside, the Friday night shift was about to begin. Manager Rick stood at the host stand, clipboard in hand. Around him, servers shuffled like students avoiding eye contact before a pop quiz. All right, people, section assignments. Rick's finger traced down the reservation list. Table 12, Ruth. 16 and 17, Philip. The servers relaxed one by one, until Rick's finger stopped. And the Adams Bernard party. 6:30. Booth 9. The room went silent. Every head dropped. Suddenly, shoelaces needed tying. Aprons required adjusting. The ceiling became fascinating. Diana Brooks stood by the coffee station, hands steady as she poured cream into her mug. She didn't look away. I'll take it, she said. Rick blinked. Diana, you don't have to. I said I'll take it. She tucked her order pad into her apron pocket. Her fingers brushed against two things. A pink envelope marked Final Notice in red letters, and a crayon drawing from her daughter Mirabelle. A stick figure mom with a cape and the words My Hero in wobbly letters. Diana touched the drawing once, briefly, then pulled out her night class handbook. Business Administration. Exam in 2 weeks. She'd been studying verb tenses during her break. Present, past, future. She needed this job for all three. At exactly 6:28, Adams Bernard pushed through the door, mid-call, mid-sentence, mid-everything. I don't care what the contract says, make it happen. His voice cut through the ambient music like a knife through silk. A junior server, Tommy, rushed forward with a water pitcher. His hand trembled slightly. A drop hit the rim of the glass. Just one drop. Adams ended his call with a jab of his finger. His eyes locked onto the glass. Then onto Tommy. Is this what passes for service here? He held the glass up to the light. I can see a smudge. Do you serve every customer like they're eating at a truck stop? Tommy's face flushed red. I'm sorry, sir. You'll what? Continue being mediocre? Diana appeared at the booth, smooth, unhurried. She placed a fresh glass down and removed the offending one in a single motion. Good evening, Mr. Adams. I'm Diana, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Her voice was calm, professional. Can I start you with something from the bar? Adams barely glanced at her. Scotch, Macallan 18, and I'll have the ribeye, medium rare, if your kitchen knows what that means. Diana didn't reach for her pad yet. The Macallan 18 is an excellent choice. However, our ribeye tonight has been dry-aged for 28 days. The chef recommends medium for optimal flavor with that particular cut, but I'm happy to put in medium rare if you prefer. The booth seemed to shrink. Adams slowly set down his phone. He looked at Diana for the first time. Really looked. I ordered medium rare. You did, sir, and I'll ensure that's exactly what you receive. I simply wanted to share the chef's suggestion. She paused, just a beat. Also, my team takes great pride in their work. If there's an issue with your service, I'm the person to address it with. The restaurant held its breath. Water stopped pouring. Conversations paused. Even the kitchen seemed quieter. Adams leaned back. His eyes narrowed into slits. Do you have any idea who I am? Diana met his gaze. She didn't blink. She didn't look away. Her hand rested calmly on her order pad, right above where Mirabelle's drawing sat, hidden in her apron pocket. The moment stretched and stretched. Comment, kindness wins if you'd have stood your ground too. Diana met his gaze. She didn't blink. She didn't look away. Her hand rested calmly on her order pad, right above where Mirabelle's drawing sat hidden in her apron pocket. I know you're a guest in our restaurant, sir, and you deserve excellent service, which is exactly what you'll receive. She turned toward the bar. The tension broke like a snapped wire. The restaurant exhaled. In the kitchen, Chef Philip grabbed Tommy's shoulder. You good? Tommy nodded, but his hands still shook. That's Adam's Bernard, Ruth whispered, tying her apron tighter. I heard he made a server at Augustine cry so hard she quit mid-shift. Just walked out, never came back. Philip flipped a steak. Flames rising. I was working at the Meridian when he came in. Sent back a $40 appetizer 3 times. Said the plating was an insult to his intelligence. Management comped his whole table. $800. He left a $20 tip. Diana doesn't know what she's dealing with, Ruth said. But Philip watched through the kitchen window. Diana moved through the dining room like water. Smooth, purposeful, unstoppable. I think she knows exactly what she's dealing with. The truth was, Diana had dealt with worse. 3 years ago, she'd been assistant manager at a corporate chain. Good money, benefits, a clear path to general manager. Then her boss started taking credit for her ideas. Then he started showing up at her apartment, uninvited, unexpected. She'd quit the day Mirabelle asked why Mommy cried in the car. The months after were brutal. Couch surfing, food banks, applying to 30 jobs a week. But she'd promised Mirabelle something. No more tears, no more fear, just forward. Now, Diana balanced night classes and double shifts. She studied supply chain management on the subway. She practiced Excel shortcuts during Mirabelle's soccer practice. And she took every shift, every table, every challenge, because quitting wasn't in her vocabulary anymore. Diana returned with the Macallan 18. She placed it down with both hands, label facing Adams. Professional, respectful. He took one sip, set it down, hard. It's warm. Diana didn't argue. I'll get you a fresh pour with a chilled glass immediately. And the champagne. I ordered the Veuve Clicquot. Yes, sir, I have it on ice, ready when you are. 20 minutes later, he sent the champagne back. Too cold, the bubbles are aggressive. Diana removed it without a word. She returned with a fresh bottle, slightly less chilled, poured with perfect precision. He tasted it, said nothing, which meant it was acceptable. The ribeye came next, medium rare, exactly as ordered. Adams cut into it, examined it, took a bite. Adequate. From Adams, adequate meant excellent. Diana knew that. She simply nodded. As she cleared his appetizer plate, she noticed something. A photo, tucked into the leather fold of his card holder. Just the edge visible. A young man in a white chef's coat, smiling. Maybe 17 or 18, dark hair like Adams, same sharp jawline. The photo was worn at the edges, handled often. Diana looked away quickly, but Adams had seen her glance. His hand shot out, flipping the card holder face down. The movement was sharp. Defensive. For just a moment, his expression changed. The hard edges softened. Something flickered behind his eyes. Grief, maybe, or regret. Then the wall went back up. Is there something else? His voice was ice again. No, sir. Just wanted to ensure everything was to your satisfaction. But Diana had seen it. That hairline crack in the armor. That split second where Adams Bernard wasn't a tyrant in an expensive suit. He was just a man carrying something heavy. She walked back to the server station. Rick caught her eye, mouthing, "You okay?" Diana touched her apron pocket. The drawing crinkled softly under her fingers. "I'm fine," she said, and she meant it. Dessert service. The restaurant had found its rhythm again. Soft jazz. Low conversations. The clink of silver on porcelain. Then Ruth's tray tilted. Just slightly. Just enough. A dessert fork slid off, bouncing once before hitting the floor near Adam's booth. The sound rang out like a gunshot. Ruth froze. "I'm so sorry, Adams looked up from his phone. Slowly. Deliberately. "You'll what? Continue stumbling around like an amateur?" His voice cut through the dining room. "Is everyone here incompetent? Or just the people they assigned to my table?" Heads turned. Conversations died. The couple at table 14 stopped mid-bite. Ruth's face went pale. Her hands clutched the tray like a life raft. She was 19. This was her second month. Diana was there in 4 steps. "Mr. Adams?" Her voice was calm, firm. She placed herself between him and Ruth. "It was an accident. It happens." "It shouldn't happen." He stood, 6'2" in an Italian suit. "Not at a restaurant of this supposed caliber." The entire room held its breath. Diana didn't step back. "You're not angry at her." "Excuse me?" "You're angry at yourself." The words landed like stones in still water. Adams's jaw tightened. His hand gripped the edge of the table. "You don't know anything about me. I know you're a person who's hurting, and you're making everyone around you hurt too." Silence. Complete. Total. Even the kitchen had gone quiet. Chef Philip stood frozen at the pass, spatula in midair. Adams moved around the table, closer. His presence filled the space between them. "You have no idea what you're talking about." Diana's hand steadied on the booth's edge. "Maybe not, but I know what I see." He reached for his water glass. His hand trembled. Just slightly. Just enough. The glass jolted. Water arced through the air in slow motion. Droplets caught the candlelight, suspended like diamonds. Then gravity returned. The water splashed across the white tablecloth, across his sleeve, across his watch. Time stopped. The couple at table 14 sat frozen, forks halfway to their mouths. A waiter by the bar stood with a wine bottle tilted, mid-pour. Chef Philip gripped the edge of the pass, knuckles white. Ruth's hand covered her mouth. Adams looked down at his wet sleeve, then at Diana, then at his reflection in the window behind her. For a moment, he saw himself. Really saw himself. The expensive suit. The clenched fists. The room full of people watching him terrorize a teenage girl over a dropped fork. He saw his son's face in the glass. Christian, 20 years old, dead 18 months, culinary school finals week. Too much pressure, too many expectations, too much of his father's voice in his head. Adams's shoulders dropped, just an inch, but Diana saw it. "Get out!" His voice was barely a whisper. Just get out. But the words had no teeth, no venom. They sounded less like an order and more like a plea. Diana nodded once to Ruth. The girl disappeared toward the kitchen, safe. The dining room began to breathe again. Silverware clinked. Conversations resumed. Quietly at first, then louder. Diana collected her order pad. Her tips. Her dignity. She walked toward the back hallway, toward the employee exit, toward the rain and the bus stop and Mirabelle waiting at home. Then she stopped. At the threshold between the dining room and the kitchen, she turned. Adams was still standing, still staring at his reflection, still seeing something he couldn't unsee. Their eyes met across the distance. "You don't have to be this man," Diana said. Not loud, not dramatic, just true. Adams opened his mouth, closed it. His hand gripped the back of the booth, and then Diana was gone. The kitchen door swung shut behind her. The sound echoed through the restaurant. Final. Definitive. Adams stood alone in the booth. The water still dripped from the tablecloth. Drip. 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 He looked down at the photo in his card holder. Christian's smile. Bright. Hopeful. Gone. His phone buzzed. An email. Another deal. Another million. Another meaningless victory. Adams Bernard sat down slowly. He picked up his napkin. He dried his sleeve. He looked at the empty doorway where Diana had stood, and for the first time in 18 months, something inside him cracked wide open. The penthouse was all glass and steel. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Minimalist furniture. Recessed lighting that cost more than most people's cars. Cold. Clean. Empty. Adams Bernard stood in his kitchen. Marble countertops. Professional-grade appliances he never used. He opened the refrigerator. Took out a container from some restaurant. Last Tuesday's lunch, maybe. Or Thursday's. He peeled back the lid. Pasta. Congealed sauce. He put it in the microwave. 2 minutes. The machine hummed in the silence. His phone buzzed. 17 unread messages. 6 missed calls. The world demanding his attention. His opinion. His money. He silenced it. The microwave beeped. He took out the container. Set it on the counter. Stared at it. He couldn't remember the last time he'd actually tasted food. The fork stayed in the drawer. Adams walked to the window. 43 floors below, the city pulsed with life. People finishing dinner, heading to bars, going home to families, living. He pressed his palm against the glass. Cold. The hospital room came back. White walls, antiseptic smell, the steady beep of machines that couldn't save anyone. Then the funeral. Endless rows of lilies. White. Pristine. Suffocating. People saying words that meant nothing. He's in a better place. Time heals. Stay strong. But before that, before the hospital, before the funeral, the apartment, Christian's apartment, the one Adams had called a waste of money, and beneath your potential. Christian standing in the doorway, duffel bag over his shoulder, eyes red but jaw set. I can't do this anymore, Dad. Do what? Accept help? Accept standards? Accept you. Christian's voice cracked. Nothing I do is ever good enough. Not my grades, not my internships, not my dreams. Dreams don't pay bills. No, but they make life worth living. Christian picked up his keys. You wouldn't understand that. Adams had stood there, silent, stubborn, right. Always right. Christian had walked out. 3 weeks later, he was gone. Adams turned from the window now. He pulled out his phone, scrolled to his email, started typing. To whom it may concern at the Ember Room. Tonight's service was unacceptable. Your staff was insubordinate, unprofessional, and... His thumb hovered over the keys. You're not angry at her, you're angry at yourself. Diana's voice, calm, certain, true. He deleted the draft. He scrolled to his contacts, found the number he'd been staring at for 18 months. Christian's number. Still active because he couldn't bring himself to cancel the line. His finger touched the call button. It rang once in his ear. A ghost sound. A line to nowhere. He hung up before the voicemail could start. Before he had to hear his son's voice telling him to leave a message. Before he had to admit he had nothing to say that mattered anymore. Adams walked to his desk, pulled open the bottom drawer. Inside was a shoebox. Plain, unremarkable. He'd moved it from his office to his bedroom, to his car, to here. Always with him. Never opened. Tonight, he opened it. Photos spilled out. Christian at 8, gap-toothed and holding a terrible pottery bowl he'd made in art class. At 12, science fair ribbon pinned to his shirt. At 15, first day of culinary school orientation, and the one from his card holder, the one he carried everywhere. Christian at 17. White chef's coat too big on his skinny frame. Flour smudged on his left cheek. A crooked grin. Hopeful. Alive. I made a mille feuilles, Dad. 12 layers. Perfect lamination. My instructor said it was restaurant quality. Adams had been on his phone. A merger. Always a merger. That's great, son. Very impressive. He hadn't even looked up. He looked now. He saw the pride in Christian's eyes, the desperate hope for approval, the smile that was already fading. How many moments like that? How many times had Christian brought him something, anything, just wanting to be seen? And how many times had Adams been too busy, too important, too right? You don't have to be this man. Adams sat in the dark. The city lights reflected off the glass. The untouched pasta sat cooling on the counter. His phone was in his hand. He opened his email, found the restaurant's manager contact, Rick Paulson. His fingers moved across the screen. Mr. Paulson, this is Adams Bernard. I dined at your establishment tonight. There was an incident. I behaved poorly, unacceptably. I owe someone an apology. One of your servers. Diana. Please arrange it. A. Bernard. He hit send before he could change his mind. The email disappeared into the night. Adams set down his phone. He looked at Christian's photo one more time. I'm sorry, he whispered to the empty room. I'm so sorry. The city below kept moving. The night kept breathing. And Adams Bernard sat in his glass tower, surrounded by everything he'd built and nothing that mattered, and finally let himself break. Tuesday morning, 3 days after the incident, Diana walked into the Ember Room for the lunch shift. The rain had finally stopped. Weak sunlight filtered through the windows. Rick met her at the host stand. He looked uncomfortable. Diana, hey, can we talk for a second? She set down her bag. If this is about Friday, I already explained. It's not that. Rick ran his hand through his hair. Adams Bernard contacted me. He asked if you'd be working today. Diana went still. Why? He wants to apologize, in person. He was very specific about that. The kitchen door swung open. Chef Philip stuck his head out, gave her a thumbs up. Ruth waved from the server station. You don't have to do this, Rick said. I can tell him you're not available. I can ban him from the restaurant if you want. Diana thought about the rent notice, about Mirabelle's field trip next week, about the exam she couldn't afford to fail because she'd missed a shift. I need the hours, she said quietly. I know, but when is he coming? Noon. Diana checked her watch. 40 minutes. Okay, she said. I'll take it. At exactly 12 o'clock, the door opened. Adams Bernard walked in alone. No assistant, no phone call, no entourage. He wore jeans, a gray sweater, no tie. He looked smaller somehow, older, tired. He saw Diana, stopped, seemed to gather himself. She met him halfway across the dining room. Professional distance, arms at her sides. Mr. Adams? Diana. He cleared his throat. Thank you for agreeing to see me. She said nothing, waited. I need to apologize. The words came slowly, carefully. For my tone, for my words, for the way I treated you, and Ruth, and Tommy. He paused. For humiliating you, in front of everyone, in your workplace. Diana watched his face. No excuses trailed behind the words. No, but I was stressed, or I've had a rough time. Just the apology, plain, direct. I was cruel, he continued, deliberately cruel, and you didn't deserve it. None of you did. He reached into his pocket, pulled out an envelope, thick. I'd like to compensate you for your trouble. It's not enough, but... Diana held up her hand. Stop. He stopped. Money can patch a hole, she said. It can't mend a tear. Adams looked down at the envelope, then back at her. Then what can I do? You can do the hard thing you've been avoiding. Christian. His voice cracked on the name. Call him when you're not trying to control the result, Diana said gently. Call him to listen, not to fix, not to advise, just to hear him. He's gone. The words barely made it out. He died. 18 months ago. The dining room blurred around them. Diana's hand moved to her chest. I'm so sorry. Adams nodded, couldn't speak. His jaw worked. His eyes were wet. They stood there, two people carrying impossible weight. Finally, Adams said, I don't know how to start. How to? I don't even know what I'm starting. Diana looked at him. Really looked. Saw a father instead of a tyrant. Saw grief instead of anger. Will you sit for 5 minutes? He asked. And tell me how to start? Diana glanced at Rick. He nodded. She turned back to Adams. 5 minutes. At that table. She pointed to the corner booth. Quiet. Private. And I'm here as someone who's listening. Not as your server. Not as your employee. Clear? Clear. They sat. The restaurant hummed around them. Silverware clinked in the kitchen. A couple laughed at the bar. Adams pulled out his phone. Looked at it like it might bite him. I kept his number active. I've dialed it 100 times. Never let it ring. What stopped you? I don't know what to say. He looked up. Everything I rehearse sounds hollow. Diana leaned forward slightly. Then don't rehearse. Just talk to him. Adams's thumb hovered over the screen. Christian's name. Christian's photo. That crooked smile. He pressed call. He put it on speaker. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then the voicemail. Christian's voice. Young, bright, alive. Hey, it's Christian. Leave a message. I'll call you back when I'm not elbow deep in sourdough. The beep cut through the silence. Adams opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He looked at Diana. Panic in his eyes. She nodded. Keep going. Christian. His voice shook. It's Dad. He closed his eyes. I don't have a speech prepared. I don't have an agenda. I wanted to tell you I'm sorry. A breath. Shaky. Real. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm sorry I tried to make you into something you weren't. I'm sorry I loved you so badly. His voice broke. I miss you. Every day. Every single day. And if I could go back, if I could just... I'd ask you about the mille feuilles. I'd put down my phone. I'd tell you I was proud. Tears ran down his face now. He didn't wipe them away. I am proud. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so sorry you didn't know that. The voicemail beeped. Time limit reached. The message was gone into the digital void. Adam sat there, phone in his hand, face wet, breathing hard. Diana reached across the table. Didn't touch him, just close enough. That's how you start, she said softly. 5 days. No response. Adams checked his phone every hour, every half hour, every time it vibrated with another business email that didn't matter. Nothing. On Thursday morning, he drove across town. The Westview Culinary Institute. Red brick building. Students in white coats moving between classes. The smell of bread and butter and possibility. He sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes. Hand on the door handle. Heart hammering. Finally, he got out. He carried a bag of groceries. Nothing fancy. Eggs, butter, herbs. The ingredients Christian had asked for the last time they spoke. The night before he left. Can you just make breakfast with me this weekend, Dad? Like when I was little? Adams had been reviewing quarterly reports. I have a meeting with Tokyo on Sunday, maybe next month. There was no next month. He found Christian in a test kitchen, 3rd floor, windows overlooking the campus garden. Christian stood at a stainless steel station, working on a reduction sauce. Focused, precise, alive. Adams stopped in the doorway. His son, here, real. Christian looked up, saw him, froze. They stared at each other across the kitchen. Years of silence between them. "I brought eggs," Adams said. His voice sounded strange, uncertain. "And butter, and thyme, like you asked." Christian set down his whisk. "That was 2 years ago." "I know." Adams took a step forward. "I'm late. I'm always late." Other students glanced over, whispered. Christian's jaw tightened. "Why are you here?" Adams held up the bag. "I want you to teach me a dish you loved as a kid. Something I should have made with you." He paused. "Something I should have paid attention to." Christian looked at the bag, at his father, at the floor. "No lectures," Christian said finally. "No money strings. No, here's how I would do it better. Deal." They worked side by side at the station. Christian cracked eggs. Adams chopped herbs. Badly. "Not like that. You're bruising them." Christian took the knife. Gentle. Let the blade do the work. Adams watched, learned, tried again. Better. They moved like strangers. Careful, uncertain. The silence stretched and contracted. Christian whisked. Adams melted butter. The pan heated. Pour it in, quick motion. Adams poured. The omelet spread across the pan. Too fast, too much. It bubbled, stuck, started to burn. Dad, you're burning it." "I'm not." Smoke rose. "Okay, I'm burning it." Christian grabbed the pan. Flipped it into the trash. They both stared at the smoking remains. Then Christian laughed. Just a short bark of surprise. "You burnt an omelet." "It's harder than it looks. It's literally the easiest thing in culinary school." "Well," Adams looked at the pan. "I failed spectacularly." Christian shook his head. A small smile cracked through. "You really did." They made 3 more, each one less burnt. The last one actually held together. Christian plated it. Simple. Clean. He cut it in half, slid one piece to his father. They ate in silence. The omelet was decent, maybe even good. "You seasoned this well," Christian said quietly. "You taught me how." The wall between them didn't disappear, but it lowered. Just an inch. Just enough to see over. Adams set down his fork. "You have that showcase next Tuesday, the one you mentioned, in your voicemail." Christian went still. "You listened to my voicemail?" "All of them." "Every single one." Christian's eyes reddened. He looked away. "It's just a student thing. Nothing major." "Can I come?" Adams's voice was careful, hopeful. "I won't. I'll just sit in the back. I won't say anything. I just want to see you do what you love." Christian picked up his fork, set it down, picked it up again. "Okay." The word was barely audible. "You can come." Adams nodded. Didn't trust his voice. They cleaned the station together. Christian showed him how to properly scrub a pan. Adams listened, learned, remembered. Friday evening, the Ember Room. Adams walked in during the dinner rush. Rick saw him, tensed, but Adams just smiled, nodded. "Rick, good to see you." "Mr. Adams, we weren't expecting—" "I'm not staying." He pulled out an envelope, not thick with money, just paper. "Is Tommy working tonight?" "The junior server? Yeah, he's on the floor." "Can you give him this, please?" Rick took the envelope, felt the weight of it. "What is this?" "Tuition for a hospitality management course at the community college, and an apology, in writing." Adams glanced around. Where's Chef Philip? Kitchen. Adams walked to the pass. Philip looked up, surprised. Chef? Adams extended his hand. Thank you for keeping this place running, for keeping your team safe, for being the leader I wasn't. Philip shook his hand slowly. Thank you, Mr. Adams. Call me Bernard. Ruth emerged from the server station. Adams turned to her. Ruth, I owe you an apology. A real one. What I said to you was unacceptable. You didn't deserve it. You're a good server. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Ruth blinked, nodded. Thank you. Diana watched from across the dining room, arms crossed, a small smile on her face. Adams caught her eye, nodded once. She nodded back. He left the same way he came. Quiet, humble, changed. Rick opened the envelope after his shift. Inside was a check. $5,000. And a handwritten note on plain paper. Tommy, I'm sorry for the way I spoke to you. You didn't deserve it. Use this for your education. Hospitality needs people who care. Adams Bernard. Rick folded the note carefully. Tomorrow, he'd give it to Tommy. Tonight, he just smiled. 3 weeks later. Diana balanced a textbook on her lap. Business Finance 201. The subway lurched. Her highlighter slipped. Yellow line across margin notes about cash flow projections. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mirabelle's teacher. Your daughter's logo design won the school competition. She's very talented. Diana smiled. Pulled up the photo Mirabelle had sent last week. Hand-drawn in colored pencil. Mama's morning table, in cheerful letters. A coffee cup. A sunrise. Hope sketched in crayon and confidence. Someday, Diana whispered to the logo. Someday soon. She'd been picking up extra shifts, saving every tip. The night classes were paying off. She was learning about profit margins and vendor negotiations and the difference between a dream and a plan. The difference was action. Her phone buzzed again. Rick this time. Adams Bernard called, requesting a private table Thursday night. Not booth 9. The corner by the window. He specifically asked if you'd be working. Diana stared at the message. Typed back. Just me? No. He's bringing guests. Said it's not business. Something personal. She agreed. Thursday, 7 p.m. Thursday came cool and clear. The restaurant glowed amber in the evening light. Adams arrived first. Same gray sweater. Jeans. He looked lighter somehow, less burdened. Christian walked in 5 minutes later. Taller, steadier. He saw his father and didn't flinch. They hugged. Brief, awkward, real. Diana approached the table. Gentlemen. Diana. Adams stood. Thank you for doing this. Christian and I have been working on some recipes, family recipes, his grandmother's. We wanted a professional opinion. Christian pulled out containers. It's probably terrible. We're still learning. Learning together, Adams corrected gently. They laid out the food, braised short ribs, roasted vegetables, a simple pasta with brown butter and sage. Nothing fancy. Everything made with attention. Diana tasted each dish. Thoughtful, honest. The short ribs are beautiful. The pasta needs salt, but the intent. She looked at Christian, then at Adams. The intent is perfect. Christian grinned. Adams exhaled. They ate together. 3 people who'd been strangers. Now something else. Something undefined but real. The conversation drifted. Christian talked about his showcase. Adams talked about stepping back from the business, delegating, breathing. Then Adams went quiet. He set down his fork. I built an empire, he said slowly. After Christian's mother died, when he was 7, I worked 90-hour weeks. I closed deals. I won. Over and over. He looked at his hands. I thought if I could build something big enough, It would fill the hole. Christian's jaw tightened. He didn't look away. But it didn't, Adams continued. It just made the hole bigger, and I threw my son into it thinking work would save him too. Silence. Heavy. Honest. I'm tired of running, Adams said. I want to build something that matters. Diana leaned forward. What does that look like? Adams pulled out a folder, set it on the table. Inside were documents, legal papers, foundation paperwork. A fellowship for single parents going back to school, trade programs, degrees, whatever they need. He looked at Diana. No applications, no essays, just proof of enrollment and proof of need, anonymous, direct funding. Diana scanned the papers. Her hands trembled slightly. I want to call it the Brooks Fellowship, Adams said, after your daughter, Mirabelle Brooks, because her mother showed me what real strength looks like. Diana set down the papers. No. Adams blinked. No? Not after Mirabelle. Not after me. Diana's voice was firm. If you want to do this, you do it right. Anonymous awards, needs-based only, no spotlights, no press releases, no billionaire savior stories. But people should know. People should receive help without becoming feel-good content. Diana met his eyes. You want to do this because it's right, not because it makes you look good. Adams sat back, nodded slowly. You're right. I usually am. Christian laughed, actually laughed. The sound filled the table. Call it the Second Chance Fund, Diana said. Keep it simple, keep it honest. Adams extended his hand across the table. Deal? Diana shook it. Sunday morning. Diana was studying for midterms when her phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Brooks, this is Laura Vance. I'm a reporter with City Weekly. I heard about an incident at the Ember Room, something involving Adams Bernard and a confrontation with staff. Diana's stomach dropped. Where did you hear that? A source. I'm writing a story about workplace abuse in high-end restaurants. I understand there was an altercation, water thrown, public humiliation. Papers rustled on the line. This is a big story. Adams is a powerful man. I want to make sure the workers are heard. It's not what you think. So something did happen? Diana closed her textbook, pressed her fingers to her temples. The reporter continued. I'm running the story tomorrow, with or without your comment, but I'd like your side. Did Adams Bernard abuse his power that night? Did the restaurant protect him? Diana thought about the voicemail, the burnt omelet, Christian's smile, the fellowship papers sitting on her kitchen table. She thought about Tommy's tuition check, Ruth's apology, Adams's tears. Ms. Brooks, are you still there? Diana took a breath. Yes, she said. I'm here. The story would break tomorrow. The truth, or a version of it. What would she say? Monday morning. The headline hit like a lightning strike. Billionaire bully. Adams Bernard's restaurant rampage exposed. By noon, it was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. The comments section became a courtroom. Another rich guy thinking he owns people. Fire him from every board. Waitress hero stands up to power. The narrative wrote itself. Villain and victim. David and Goliath. Clean, simple. Viral. Adams's PR firm called within an hour. 3 people on a conference line. Voices sharp with urgency. Bernard, we need to get ahead of this, now. We draft a statement, something about mental health, stress, grief over your son. We position you as the comeback story, the human behind the headlines. Adams sat in his office. The city sprawled below. He'd controlled narratives before, shaped stories, won battles in the court of public opinion. No, he said. Silence on the line. Bernard, this is serious. Your reputation, is exactly what I deserve. He closed his laptop. I was cruel. I humiliated people. You can't spin that. We're not spinning. We're contextualizing. You're making excuses. Adam stood, walked to the window. I don't want excuses. I want honesty. The internet doesn't reward honesty. Then I'll be unrewarded. He drafted a statement himself. 4 sentences. No flourish, no victim framing. I behaved poorly at the Ember Room. I was cruel to staff who didn't deserve it. I have apologized personally to those affected. I'm working to be better. That's all. His PR team called it professional suicide. He posted it anyway. The responses were mixed. Some praised the brevity. Others called it inadequate. The story kept spreading. Adams turned off his phone. Wednesday evening, the Ember Room. The dining room had been transformed. Long communal tables, mismatched chairs, string lights overhead. The menu was simple. Comfort food, no prices listed. Because tonight, everything was free. Rick stood at the door, greeting people. Single mothers, students, night shift workers. People who couldn't usually afford a place like this. Welcome, please sit anywhere. Diana worked the floor, not as a server, as a host, making sure everyone felt seen. An elderly woman clutched her purse. Are you sure? No charge? No charge, Diana confirmed. Just good food and good company. In the kitchen, Christian worked the line. Focused, alive. He plated dish after dish. The childhood recipe, his grandmother's. The one he'd been perfecting with his father. Herb-crusted chicken. Roasted potatoes with rosemary. Green beans with almonds. Simple, soulful, made with love. Adam stood in the back, watching. Not directing, not controlling. Just present. A tray came up. Christian had plated one specially. He met his father's eyes through the pass. Adams walked over. Christian handed him the plate. This is it, Christian said quietly. Exactly how Grandma made it. Adams looked down. The food was perfect. Not restaurant perfect. Home perfect. He took a bite. The flavors hit him. Memories crashed in. His mother's kitchen. Sunday dinners. Christian at 5 years old, standing on a stool, learning to snap green beans. Before the grief. Before the empire. Before everything broke. Tears rolled down his face. He didn't wipe them away, didn't hide them. Christian's hand gripped his shoulder. It's good, right? Christian's voice was thick. It's perfect. Adam set down the fork, pulled his son into a hug. You're perfect. They stood there, father and son, in a kitchen that smelled like forgiveness. Diana watched from the doorway, smiled softly, turned back to the dining room. Later that night, after the last guest left, Adam stepped outside. The street was quiet. Cool. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through contacts, found the number. Richard, it's Adams Bernard. Sorry to call so late. His lawyer's voice was alert. Bernard, everything all right? I need to adjust my portfolio. The stock dividends from the Harmon Group holdings. I want them redirected. Redirected where? The Second Chance Fund. The fellowship we established. Make it automatic. Quarterly distributions. Permanent. Papers rustled. That's a significant amount. Are you sure? Adams looked back through the restaurant window. Christian cleaning the kitchen. Diana helping Rick break down tables. People who'd been strangers becoming community. I'm sure. His voice was steady, certain. Draw up the paperwork. I want it irrevocable. Irrevocable means you can't change your mind. I know what it means, Richard. Do it. A pause. Then, okay, I'll have documents ready by Friday. Thank you. Adams ended the call, stood in the cool night air. The city hummed around him, alive, moving, indifferent to his empire, or his redemption. And for the first time in years, that felt right. He wasn't the hero of this story. He wasn't even the victim. He was just a man, trying, failing, trying again. That was enough. Inside, Christian laughed at something Rick said. The sound carried through the window. Adams walked back toward the light. 6 months later. The Ember Room had changed. Not the furniture, not the menu, just the air itself. It breathed differently now. Adams arrived at 4:30 on a Tuesday, early. He carried a box of white tulips, Ruth's favorites. She'd mentioned them once, 3 months ago, in passing. "Mr. Adams," Tommy called from the bar. No longer trembling, no longer afraid. "Bernard," Adams corrected gently. "How's the management course?" "Final project next week. I'm analyzing your restaurant turnaround as a case study." Tommy grinned. "Hope that's okay." "It's perfect." Adams arranged tulips in mason jars, simple centerpieces. Philip emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands. "Bernard, your timing's good. Luis just got accepted to culinary school." Luis, the dishwasher, appeared in the doorway. 22. Shy smile. Adams had learned he had a daughter Mirabelle's age. "Congratulations." Adams extended his hand. "That's incredible." Luis shook it firmly. "Thank you. For the recommendation letter. It helped." "You earned it." Adams pulled a cookbook from his bag. Signed. Personalized to Luis's daughter. For Sophia. May you cook with joy. Luis's eyes went bright. She'll love this. Sunday morning. 10 a.m. A chalkboard sign stood outside the Ember Room. Mirabelle's morning table. Pop-up brunch. Today only inside, Diana moved through the space like water. Confident. Purposeful. Her daughter's logo hung above the host stand. Hand-drawn. Professional. Real. The menu was short. Intentional. Dishes Diana had perfected in her apartment kitchen during stolen hours between shifts and textbooks. Lemon ricotta pancakes. Shakshuka with house-made pita. Maple bacon that smelled like heaven. Adams and Christian arrived at 10:15. They waited in line like everyone else. Diana saw them, smiled, approached with menus. "Table for two?" "If you have space," Adams said. She seated them by the window. Natural light. The city waking up beyond the glass. Christian ordered the pancakes. Adams ordered the shakshuka. They didn't ask for special treatment. Didn't offer business advice. Didn't try to fix anything. They were just customers, supporting someone they cared about. The food arrived. Christian took a bite, closed his eyes. "This is restaurant quality." Diana refilled their coffee. "That's the goal." "You're going to need a bigger space soon," Christian said. Adams shot him a look. Boundaries. Christian caught himself. "Sorry, not my place." Actually. Rick appeared beside the table, cleared his throat. "Diana, can we talk later? About making this permanent. Maybe a profit-share evening concept. Your menu. Your terms." Diana's hand steadied on the coffee pot. "I'd like that." Rick nodded. Walked away. Adams stayed quiet. Didn't offer investment. Didn't insert himself. Just smiled into his shakshuka. Christian nudged him. "Proud of you, Dad." "I'm learning," Adams said. The montage unfolded across the city. A single mother opened a laptop. The Second Chance Fund logo on the screen. Her acceptance letter. Full tuition. Nursing program. She pressed her hand to her mouth. Breathed. A young man pulled on a chef's coat. White, crisp. His first day at culinary school. The fellowship covered everything. He stood taller. A father juggled twins while reading a welding certification acceptance. The grant came through. Anonymous. Transformative. He called his mother. Voice cracking. "We're going to be okay." 50 recipients, then 100, then more. No press releases, no billionaire interviews, just people getting chances they'd earned but couldn't afford. Silent, powerful, real. 3 p.m. The last brunch customer left. Diana wiped down tables. Her muscles ached. Her face hurt from smiling. The register showed numbers she'd only imagined. Sold out. Every seat. Every dish. Mirabelle burst through the door. Soccer cleats muddy. Backpack bouncing. "Mama! Coach said my logo should be on t-shirts." Diana laughed. Pulled her daughter close. "Maybe someday." "Not someday. Soon." Mirabelle dug into her pocket, pulled out something small, pressed it into Diana's palm. A key, brass, old-fashioned. A tiny star stamped into the bow. "What's this?" "For your restaurant, when you get one. So you remember you always had the key." Mirabelle's eyes were serious, certain. "You just had to build the door first." Diana's throat tightened. She closed her fingers around the key, felt its weight, its promise. Outside, the city moved. People chased dreams and paid rent and tried and failed and tried again. Inside, Diana held her daughter, held the key, held the future. Power can frighten a room, she thought. Kindness can change it. And change, she'd learned, started with a single choice. To stand, to speak, to try. She locked the door behind them. The key clicked home. Tomorrow, she'd start building. Stories like this remind us that people can choose differently. If this one moved you, consider sharing it with someone who believes in second chances. Sometimes that's all any of us need. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.